Hey everybody, welcome back, and a shout out to the vinyl community, and actually anybody who just tunes into this or checks out any of my other little video episodes. But today's topic, the topic du jour, is going to be film and or other kind of soundtracks. They're definitely a category in their own right. It used to be you'd go see a movie, and way back in the day, film soundtracks were very, very popular. Everybody seemed to have them. You go over somebody's house, the parents in their record collection be loaded with soundtrack albums. And more recently, this has been going on for a couple decades now. There'll be like a film where the accompanying soundtrack is basically like a jukebox of current top 40 or alternative radio best of. Be all groups you heard of, nothing really bizarre or anything. Just reads like a hit parade, just plunked in at different points throughout the film to keep it, for their target audience. But the film and other kind of soundtracks that I'm going to focus on are a little bit different. In your record and CD hunts, in record stores, thrift shops, garage sales, yard sales, etc., and online, there's recommendations, there's stuff you stumble upon on your own, there's times when you flip in through a bin and an album cover will just attract you. But I'll go through some of them, and this is definitely going to be a two-parter. So for the sake of convenience right now, I'm doing CDs. So when I was a kid, I had the very popular album of the 2001 A Space Odyssey soundtrack. Glorious album artwork. Wasn't that much available back then. And I was used to it a certain way, and that actually, unbeknownst to me at the time, because I didn't really scrutinize credits, it got me into the music of like Ligeti and classical music like Strauss and all that. I was really into it and fascinated by it. And then years later, this came out on CD, part of maybe a reissue campaign, or tied in with a restored print, being put in theaters again. Regardless, got this. It's a great version of the soundtrack, and the thing that we always praise about CDs, as opposed to like a single album, is the runtime. You could do extra things with the material on the disc, and you can add stuff, alternate takes, etc. The supplemental material, is fantastic stuff. It's actually got a 9-minute and change section of HAL 9000 in his slow descent into deprogramming. No spoilers here. And there's all kinds of soundtracks that you can get. Again, as a kid and all that, James Bond movies were like real big. It was like a real event. They still are to an extent. I mean, it seems to be winding down, or they don't know what to do with it. But this, Dr. No, great soundtrack. And I'll touch on this in another episode, YouTube video episode, where I talk about I'm thinking about this as a topic of hidden avant-garde music hidden in the context of a mainstream release. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about, and that may very well be the case most of the time, I suggest that you listen to track 5 of this CD, if you have it, called Audio Bongo. To me, that was avant-garde experimental music, kind of snuck in surreptitiously in the middle of a mainstream, what they knew would be a mainstream album. Okay, just got to duck out of camera for a second, grab some more CDs. I'll be right with you. Look at that, I'm back already. Okay, so you have your very popular soundtracks, or I do at any rate. Like I have the Pink Panther, Henry Mancini. Great soundtrack. I'm going to go pretty quick on this. We have the amazingly great Casino Royale soundtrack. This is one of my favorite, like, movies of way back when soundtracks. Because besides the great theme music by Burt Bacharach, played by Herb Alpert, and the Teeny Water Brass, it's also, of course, got The Look of Love by Dusty Springfield. And then, moving right along, and I have another Henry Mancini here. This is The Return of the Pink Panther, Henry Mancini. And the groovy thing about this is it is a Vocalion quadra disc or such. Basically, it's quadraphonic, and they put another album on here too. Return of the Pink Panther and something else. Henry Mancini. Return of the Pink Panther and Symphonic Soul. Worth seeking out. It's pretty groovy. Then, you know, you had other music's soundtracks and movie soundtracks in the 60s. I'm going forward in time, hopefully. You know, you had the Alfred Hitchcock movies. This is a beautiful CD put together by, believe it or not, the Museum of Modern Art. Fantastic collection of Bernard Herrmann Hitchcock soundtrack bits. And on a very related note, because it is Bernard Herrmann, this is a Citizen Kane and other selections double CD. Great stuff. You know, grandiose symphonic splendor. Stepping back in time for a moment, we have the soundtrack of Forbidden Planet by Louis and Bebe Baron. And anybody who knows this movie knows that, you know, there was some sort of dispute about it actually being called a musical soundtrack and all that. And there's something on the tagline of the film regarding that. I can't remember the exact thing. You know, almost like they were hesitant to acknowledge that it could be music. But it is. Then, you know, you're watching TV, or you seek out a channel that has older movies, or you one of these people that gets DVDs of like obscure horror and sci-fi movies, and that would be me. And here we have a soundtrack. I sought this out because the movie's kind of groovy. The look of it, the fashions, the design, everything about it. And while watching it, the soundtrack caught my ear, along with everything else. And I sought this out. This is the Planet of the Vampires. Terrore nello Spazio. Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires. Soundtrack by Gino Marinuzzi Jr. Great stuff. Thankful that this was on physical format, available for purchase. And then have a Tangerine Dream soundtrack for William Friedkin's Sorcerer. Great. Have a Howard Shore, the Tim Burton Ed Wood soundtrack. This is a sort of a revised edition of it. This is Volume 3. Now, I'm pretty sure I still have Volume 1, and I don't really know what the great leap is from 1 to 2 to 3. I think it's just a couple extra songs, maybe an alternate take to the theme music, something like that. Really cool. Then you know, we have stuff that's not real. You know, it's for a movie. It's not for a movie. There's some people that do soundtracks for movies, like of the mind or in your head or something like that. And as I've shown you before, and I'll get to it in part 2, clock DVA digital soundtracks would be one. This is kind of a combo. This is a recent box set. Came out on Cherry Red, Bill Nelson, Dream Screens. So this contains Sounding the Ritual Echo, Atmospheres for Dreaming, not affiliated with any film as far as I know. CD2, Das Kabinett, you might know it as the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And the third CD is La Belle et la Bête, you might know it better as The Beauty and the Beast, the Jean Cocteau version. Do I know that these sync up exactly with the film? No, I haven't done that. I have not done that. I've enjoyed them on their own. This came out a couple of years ago. This is Brian Eno film music, 1976 to 2020. It's got tunes that were either borrowed from his albums, but I think they're all original, you know, created for the respective project. For Dune and Francis Bacon's Arena episode, and you know, just quite a few mostly movie productions. And then finally for this episode, I think I'm going to end it on this note with Stephen Severin, who I was very fortunate to catch in a solo performance in New York City, where he, can't remember exactly which film, it was kind of fantastic, but he does accompaniment for films among his other solo works, of which there are many. I have this, Music for Silence, and I also have one for Vampire, and if you ever go to his Bandcamp page, you'll see how prolific he is. There's quite a few more to go through. I haven't even touched on the albums. So, of course, that begs a part 2 at the very least. But signing off for now. Bye-bye.